Hi, my name is Marcelle, and I'm a Tantra practitioner who has been working with men and women and couples for a long time. I've worked deeply with the traditional Tantric path as well as Neo Tantra, and I have just gleaned a lot of wisdom and information, not only through healing my own sexual distortions, but also learning to really embody a deeper presence in my own life, as well as dissolve the conditioning and the traumas from my past. And of course, it's a work in progress, but my point here is to share wisdom with you. And because I've recently had a friend who reached out to me and came to me with a whole bunch of questions, I thought it a good idea to share these questions with you because we can all benefit from them. So my invitation to you is, if after watching this and it resonates, if you do have questions that you'd like to ask, feel free to post your questions in the comment box. All right, so let's dive in. So the question that we have for today is, what does tantric sex have to do with the chakras? So the one of the principles of tantra is really working with energetic enactment, or really activating the energy systems within the body. Um, they are connected to what is known as the subtle body. So we have the physical body, we have the emotional body, the mental body, and the subtle bodies. And the etheric body, and these are just different layers of density, from the density of our body to the more subtle bodies that actually exist as a field around us. And so when we start doing this work with Tantra, we are very much relying on not just the body, the physical body, but the actual energy systems within us that are connected to the nervous system and that are connected to our senses. So this journey of tantric lovemaking is a very sensory, sensual journey. And we know that we're on a good path with our tantric work the more sensitized we become, because it's a reflection of how much we're saying yes to reality, how awake we are to feeling and experiencing everything. And it's the idea that when we say yes to what is uncomfortable, we also say yes to what is pleasurable. The body, as a receptive feeling tool, doesn't differentiate between the two. It just feels. So when we keep pushing away what's uncomfortable, we are also limiting our capacity to experience what is pleasurable. And so the tantric principle is about really saying yes to life, that which is good as well as bad, because both are under the umbrella of wholeness. Both are the same thing, in the sense that light is dark, good is bad. We need bad to have good. We need the darkness to embody the light. They work together. But it's us with our value systems that have made things right or wrong. And that's where the split comes in. So where the chakra system comes into this is that it's part of the energy system that we are wanting to understand deeper on this path of building our sexual energy. So remember, the tantric path, if you have watched any of my other videos, it's not just about sex. It's actually a much deeper path that explores, for one, our bodies and all the trauma and the conditioning that we hold in our bodies, and how we can start releasing that. And it's also about activating the energy systems, of which the chakras are a part of. So the chakric system, um, we have the base, we have the sacral, we have the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there are so many more, but those 7 are like gateways into areas of our lives of expression. So if you imagine the time that we're born, we come into this, we incarnate into this physical form. And it's our earliest years where we are so dependent on our caregivers. And if they pull that attention away from us, it can almost feel existential, like a crisis. If that mother pulls the nipple away for the first time, it can feel like our entire lives are going to collapse. So the base chakra very much has to do with survival and feeling safe in the body. And then as we age, we start experiencing a sense of I, of our individuality, I versus you. And it becomes more about the others. It becomes about the people that we're interacting with. So the chakric system really ties in with human psychology and the development of that journey. So I versus you, it's me versus the tribe. So the second sacral chakra is very much connected to the tribe. Now, when we experience traumas in each one of those chakras, so for instance, around the heart, something that is deeply painful, someone can die when we're very young, or we grow up in an environment where there's no love, no emotional support. So therefore, we do not connect to the faculty of generosity and love very easily. Or the throat is about expression, speaking our truth. And it often stems from not feeling emotionally validated as a child, where our little voices are not heard. We are not given a right to express. And so when we experience these traumas, these contractions in those areas of our lives, it correlates with one of the chakras, which then shuts down, and there's a blockage that is created in that area. So, for instance, someone with a shut down base chakra from a sexuality standpoint can, and it depends on whether it's a man or a woman. For instance, a woman who's been sexually abused, either she's going to become overly promiscuous, or there's no sensitivity at all, no reception. It's a complete shutdown. For a man whose base is shut down, he could be chasing after money. The root has to do with money. The base chakra has to do with money. It has to do with survival. And it's very much about being in this body. Have we learned to come into this body? So if we have these shutdowns, it means that the sexual energy that originates at the base of the spine, known as the kundalini, it can't start rising. And so the tantric path uses sexuality to start activating that current or that force in our bodies. So if you imagine energy systems in the body, like the heart is pumping energy, it's pumping blood through the veins throughout the entire body, the vestibular system. It's using energy, it's using life force to do that. When somebody dies, there is no longer any life force in that body. When we're healthy, we have good, strong health life force. But when we are contracted, we have experienced a lot of trauma, we are fearful, there's a shutdown that happens. Now, this operates in a physiological perspective, but also on an energetic perspective. So we have two aspects to our life force. So the idea is that we want to build more life force. We want more energy. We want to connect to our power. We want to experience that sexual energy moving up so that it hits the heart, eventually hits the crown and the third eye, and we are all seeing and we are clearly receiving clarity through intuition. So the work here is to activate that life force energy through activating the kundalini. And one of the best ways to do that, or the fastest ways to do it, is through lovemaking, through sex. So with tantric sex, and to answer that question of what connection does tantric sex have to the chakras, we are consciously both deeply connected to our own bodies as lovers. And when we come together, We are engaging in lovemaking that is a co-creation. We are both completely present with each other. We are both very much connected to our bodies, and the sexual energy, therefore, can rise and flow. If one party is in performance, or if the other party is chasing the orgasm, then that's not allowing that clear channel of energy to start rising, because there's a contraction that's happening. I'm trying to make something happen, and therefore I'm not in receptivity, and therefore things can't flow. So when we both come into a deep state of receptivity, where we're really connecting to our pleasure, to our bodies, we're really in deep intimacy with this other person, what happens is the sexual energy starts rising, the kundalini starts activating, and there are a few more criteria that are required in order for that energy to not only rise, but to keep rising. And once that energy starts rising, what then happens is potentially it starts hitting up where there is a blockage. So, for instance, if there is a blockage for most men and women, we carry blockages around guilt and shame in the base, in the sexual area. Most of us have experienced, or a lot of us have experienced, distortions around our sexuality. And so when we start rising that sexual energy, it'll hit up against those blockages. And it can be uncomfortable. It can be confronting. And it's something that we have to move through. And so we use the sexual energy, we use the lovemaking to keep building that energy, to keep moving the energy so that it can move through those blockages and keep rising up. And that is part of the aim of this process. It's not a doing, it's an allowing, it's a softening. So when something difficult arises due to the blockage in that area, we're not trying to fix it. We're allowing it. We're allowing the discomfort. We're allowing the pain around it. There might even be physical contractions sometimes. And we're just surrendering to that. And it helps to work with breath. It helps to work with dancing, with movement. And when that energy starts moving, if we give it enough spaciousness, it'll move through. And sometimes it can take time. Sometimes it takes years. Heart chakra, throat chakra can take a very long time, especially the throat. And it depends on the severity of the trauma that we've experienced in that area, because often it ties in with deep conditioning. Someone with a shut down throat chakra has been taught that their voice does not matter. And the voice is all about our power. It's very much connected to the solar plexus. And it's also connected to the inner child, my feelings, my emotions not being validated. And oftentimes there's trauma connected to that. So it's deep work. But the benefits of the tantric lovemaking, when it's done consciously, is that it can help move the energy where there is stuckness. So I hope that answered that question. And if this was something that interested you and you're still here listening, please feel free to leave comments and I will happily get back to them. So bye for now, and keep your eyes posted for more videos that I'll be posting. Take care. Bye.